Hey, it's me, Tyler. Bose open earbuds are stylish. The color, it looks almost like an earring. I feel like it could go with anything. The music I'm making right now feels like a holiday. I want to look like it too. Check out Bose.com for more.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a one-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
The holidays are back at Starbucks, and there's so much to share. With classics like Caramel Brulee Latte, Peppermint Mocha, and Chestnut Praline Latte, we're celebrating everyone's flavor of festivity. Order yours in the app.
Hello and welcome to And It's Live, your new podcast about modern football history. My name is Martyn Ramsay and I will be your host. And I'm joined by two friends that I've podcasted with for many years now. I'm joined by Adam Thornton. How are we doing, Adam?
Hi, Martin. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Delighted to be here.
A big intake of breath there as you thought about that. And David Edgar's here as well. How are we doing, David?
I'm great, Martin. Thank you. It's nice to be here. It's a lovely opportunity for us to talk about something that we're passionate about, to talk about something in great detail and great depth, maybe a depth that we feel isn't always there in other podcasts. And to any new listener, we have a decent track record of delivering podcasts that people enjoy over the years. So we hope that you'll be the same.
We do. We know each other through football. Really, we're all Scottish. You can hear that. We're all Rangers fans, and we have podcasted now with one another since 2018 on Heart and Hand, which is the primary and foremost Rangers podcast. And a lot of that work is on Patreon. A lot of that work, obviously, for subscribers only. Rangers shows. David, you indeed run are the boss of Heart and Hand, but we've always very quickly actually spread into wider football, wider sport, wider interests. And after so many years of doing that, behind that paywall, as it were, we kind of wanted to bring that out to the wider world.
Yeah, and I wouldn't worry if you like us already, folks. We're not going anywhere, so please don't panic. It just means you've got the opportunity to get even more of us. Where it came about is that we like to do general football shows, and I think that is an important point to mention. I think there are two types of football fans. There are football fans who follow a team religiously, home and away, but they are totally focused on their club. And then you've got the other type of football fans who are the same when it comes to their own club, but love to watch football from other parts of the world, love to break it down, get talking. And I think that some of the shows we're going to do are leagues where we don't have a dog in the fight. When we're talking about our own club, understandably, we are very passionate about that, and we would hold our hands up and say that we can be one-eyed about it. And we're honest about that. When we're talking about our own club, we have an agenda. We are supporters. We're not claiming to be neutral. When we're talking about other leagues, when we're talking about histories of other clubs, we don't have the same, if you like, immediate. We're not immediately pressed up against that. We don't come with preconceived notions. And I think that gives us the ability to maybe take overview in a way that's difficult if you support one of those clubs. So that's what we're hoping to do. We've done a show that's been very successful where we've looked at the history of the Champions League in great detail. And I think that is fairly unique. I haven't seen anyone else do it to the degree that we've done it. And we're going to do the same for other leagues, other periods of history, where we're going to look at it and maybe bring fresh eyes over it. And the good thing when you look back after a while, Martin, is I think your own preconceived notions of a time and a series of seasons can change, because I think sometimes received wisdom can become so commonplace that we're all tied up by it. What we hope to do is to look over it and say, are those memories correct? the things that we thought about this particular team, the thing we thought about this particular manager, other players who are underrated, other players who are overrated, other players who are totally forgotten we should be talking about. All of these things are possible now with what we're doing here.
Yeah, time and time again, doing the show, the main event, I've remembered something that completely fallen out of my head. I have reassessed things, Adam. This is my kind of podcasting, to be honest, that long form, the long arc. Anyone who's listened to Nest and Dormer, you may know me from that. There are other podcasts that do things well, for the record. But it's just providing the scope and the time to just put things in order and bring some of that detail to life, Adam. And it was you more than anyone else that was the kind of driving force to getting this out there. What do you want to see from this particular podcast in a busy podcasting world, of course?
Yeah, so I think it's that depth piece that David mentioned that I think is crucial. I am several years younger than both of you, which I don't mind. I don't mind admitting. So some of the early seasons that we've covered, 92, 93 onwards, I'm sort of 5, 6, 7 years old at those points. So my memories of it are a lot more limited than you guys. So it's been really interesting for me to go back to those early years and really look at it in depth. And I think that depth is key. We're probably averaging about 3 to 4 hours per season of the Champions League. So there's a lot there. There's a lot of miles in the tank, if you like. But that space to discuss it, how we split up the shows, I think is really interesting. I have a huge interest in tactics and how teams set up, how managers can impact that, how players can impact that. So looking at it through that analytical lens of just how good were that Milan team of the early 90s, the Ajax team that came and gone in a flash. What was their legacy? What was their impact throughout Europe over the next 5, 6, 7 years, even though it's not at Ajax? Looking at all those things, I think, and giving us the depth to look at those things is key. And I think, as David alluded to, we don't have much of this out there. There's a lot of discussion about the Champions League and this team scored a goal and this team won the tournament, and that's fine. But certainly doing my research for this, and I expected it to get better than it is now. But doing my research for it, looking at teams of the mid-90s, even through to the mid-2000s, there's a real scarcity of analysis. You're having to cobble together books, articles that are now 20, 25 years old, team lineups that have been lost down the back of the sofa, almost on the internet, to try and pull together your notes to try and give yourself the best opportunity. Even YouTube highlights are scarce for some of the years. So having this as, I guess, a kind of research project as well, if you want to call it that, has been really interesting. If we can then do our bit and have this as a research project for someone in later years who is looking to find out who was the best team in 2002 in the Champions League, then here you go. Here's an hour of who we think is the best team. So yeah, I think it's coming at it from selfish point of view to learn more about the era where I was maybe just a little bit too young, and then obviously to sort of scratch the itch on things we're all interested in.
So, listeners, the main event is a history of the Champions League from 1992-93, which of course was the year it was introduced, right up into 2014, Real Madrid's Décima, and trying to go into detail where detail is required, look at some wider, broader themes, and trying to really paint a picture of European football and how all that changed. The show evolved in a way similar to the Champions League's own or evolution. We were quite tight in some of those earlier seasons, and then when it started to expand, we went from 2 shows to 3. We changed the format slightly, just to reflect or better reflect our discussion. So that is coming to you very soon. You'll get one episode a week on that. We're joined by friends throughout the course of the show. The Guardian's Rob Smythe coming in to talk about Manchester United on occasions. The Telegraph's Rob Batchy being another example to talk about Leeds' famous Champions League season 2001. Adam, what else will listeners be able to expect over the course of the next few months?
Yeah, so I think as you mentioned there, we have, or as I mentioned as well, we have about 30 hours in the can. But we are looking to launch this, I guess, primarily as an iTunes podcast, but we will have a YouTube side of it as well. So on our subscription site for Heart and Hand, we've been doing Q&As roughly every 5 years. Not actually
5 years of Champions League. Yeah. You don't have to wait that long, listeners.
Of the Champions League. So we'll look to bring those onto YouTube and use a sort of live Q&A format that we've used before that's been quite successful, where you can put your questions in live or ahead of time if you like, and we'll pop them up on the screen and give you your chance to ask us any of your burning questions. So we'll look to do that as a bit of an addition to it. And yeah, we'll see how that goes every 5 years or so. On the back of that as well, I mentioned that interest I've got in tactics. We touch.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
With Lululemon, the real gift happens when they're living in it. When you give the fan favorite everywhere belt bag, the real gift is... And when the ultra-soothing Rest Feel slides are the gift, you're really giving them... This holiday, Lululemon makes it easy to give little luxuries that go beyond. Open the moment. Shop now at Lululemon.com.
Need a holiday gift that will keep her sparkling all year long? Blue Nile, the original online jeweler, has experts on hand 24/7 who can help you find the perfect piece. Beyond that, Blue Nile makes the gifting experience easier than ever, with guaranteed free shipping and returns, as well as a wide assortment of jewelry of the highest quality at the best price. Right now, get 30% off jewelry at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com for 30% off. BlueNile.com.
An author of a tactical book, yes. But we touch on some of the teams in detail that I mentioned before, but we'll probably look to bring in a couple of guests that have industry knowledge of coaching and tactics and those things, who can then add a little bit more of a flavour and expand that out into standalone shows. So we'll look at greatest teams sort of series, if you like. Ajax, as we've mentioned, Barcelona 2008, 2009, all those big teams that came and had such an impact on modern football history. So we'll look at expanding those out and offering different types of shows. But I think primarily, like we said, we're looking at those big flagships, such as the main event as it is, with some additional tactical analysis shows and some very interactive Q&As. I think that'll be the primary offering at the moment, but we're also looking at the draft as well, Martin, aren't we? Which is a concept that you've run with. Again, we can probably tie that into the Champions League quite nicely and give some of the listeners another little twist or a bit of flavour.
Yeah, again, anyone who's listened to any of my stuff on Ness and Dorm will know that the draft format is something I love a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to host rather than to play at times. But it's a nice format, again, just for reassessing, reevaluating, and putting that historical knowledge to the test. We usually have 4 people with a draft order that we obviously do on the show, and they have to put together a footballing 11 that meets the criteria of the time, that was strongest in the period of time that we're looking at. That can be a particular season. It could be, in the case of the Champions League, I think maybe 3 or 4 that we'll try to put those together. They have to pick that team in order, but once a player's gone, they have gone, and they need to be 4 unique teams. Sounds easy, but once you get to picks 10 and 11 and you're still waiting for a right back because you thought no one would pick who you had up your sleeve, and they did, it gets very, very frustrating, David Edgar.
Yes, it does indeed. And sometimes you panic and you pick someone in an early choice that is quite ridiculous. So I think the listeners will really enjoy that show as well. And the one I'm really enthused about, the one that I think is going to be something the listeners will enjoy, is we're going to do the history of the Premier League in England from 1992, obviously, when it began. And we're going to get into it in great detail, and in a way that hasn't really been done in the podcast format. And I know that you'll get things on TV where they get ex-players and whatnot, but I think this is a complete overview that doesn't favour any of the big clubs. It doesn't favour any of the, if you like, the original Big Six or what became the Big Four, where we're going to go into detail because, Martyn, you and I are huge English Premiership fans, English football fans. We do a show on Heart and Hand where we do it on a weekly basis, but I think that Match of the Day, for example, is the greatest invention that Britain has ever produced, and I will never miss it. To me, it's communing with my God on a Saturday night. But I think a key part for us and for a lot of listeners our age, the satellite dish changed everything, and being able to watch football as much as we do now, and being able to learn so much about different players and different teams, as opposed to just seeing occasionally in the highlight format, and the way that it became in the 90s, post-Italia 90. But we don't just want to talk about this team won the league and this team finished 15th and whatnot. We want to talk about the themes. We want to talk about what happened post-Italia 90. We want to talk about the way that Sky marketed the game. We want to talk about the celebrity players, the way that they came through the gigs, and then Beckham, etc. We want to talk about the rise and fall of great teams. We want to talk about the way the ownership structure changed. So you will get the football. You'll know what happened, and we'll go through that in great detail. Adam will break it down for you tactically. We'll get guests to come in and add their point of view, some with team partiality, some not. But most importantly, I think you'll get a sense of how football changed over that period. And I know some of you might be saying, oh, football didn't begin in 1992. No, of course it didn't. And we will dip further back. But we do want to look at how football has evolved in the age of satellites, in the way that football has changed, because it's gone at a rapid change of pace. I don't think there's ever been an era, Martyn, that football has changed as much as it has in the last 30 years.
I completely agree with all of that. Maybe an important distinction there is the Premier League show will probably kick off middle, early
in the spring.
Early springtime. Yeah, I was going to say middle of March, which was oddly specific. It will be early springtime, just because we've got that.
2025.
Just because we've got that main event show there. Unfortunately, the main event show was recorded as audio only. So that will be what comes out on all the podcast feeds. However,
I thought it was to give us time to hit the gym.
His code name's Jackal. He's an exceptional assassin.
Streaming now on Peacock.
He will kill again, unless we stop him.
Academy Award winner Eddie Redmayne.
You're paying me to kill him. I am charging you for getting away.
The Jackal's here. Look at the exits.
BAFTA Award winner Lashana Lynch.
I will find him, and I will kill him myself.
I like to win.
So do I.
The Day of the Jackal. Streaming now, only on Peacock.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
Be a little more buff for the audience.
That is it. Give us time to hit the gym, get to Turkey for the hair transplant.
For the haircut and the teeth.
which we all badly need. And then we'll be kicking off that Premier League show, early April. with a YouTube version and the audio version in your feeds as well, if you like. So I think that's key. I guess the final thing to mention for me, Martyn, is if there are any authors out there of books which hit this time period of kind of mid-80s to mid 2010s, then we'd like to hear from you. We'd like to get you on and discuss your books. We've done quite a few of those on the Heart and Hand Network as well. We've had people like Michael Cox and James Dixon on, who have written some excellent books of this series. So if there is anyone out there who is listening and has an interest in this and has a book at that point, then get in touch. We'll put all of the YouTubes and X's and Gmails in the show bios, and we'll put everything out on our socials as well if you can hear it. But yeah, just to say, if anyone's interested or there's any suggestions of books that we haven't read, which is probably quite rare, I would imagine, that you'd like us to cover, then by all means we'll look at getting a book review show out every month or so as well.
Yeah, I think the key thing to come out of this site is a love of football, but not being blind to its faults, not being blind to things that have happened in that era that maybe weren't as positive, but nor are we coming at it from the things were better in my day era either. We're going to look at this and analyse it because there's a reason we want to do this. There's a reason that you guys are listening to this, and that is we love football, and it has to start from that, I think. And that's where we're going to start from. It doesn't mean we won't criticise certain things. It doesn't mean we might not get nostalgic occasionally, but it's not going to be old men staring at clouds, and nor is it going to be rah-rah, everything was brilliant after 92.
Okay, thank you, David.
A pleasure. I'm looking forward to getting stuck into all of this with you, lads.
Me too. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So, a history of the Champions League coming your way very soon. There are drafts. There is a tactical breakdown from history. There will be a Premier League show in the springtime. There'll be a book review. Really, this is for people who love football and who don't mind dropping their oar for a while and floating around once a week just to take their time putting together the bigger historical pictures with three friends who love doing exactly that. We hope you'll join us on that journey and be a part of it too. Until we speak again, bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.